Hi, and welcome back. I'm midway into a 1-month stay in the city of Tbilisi, Georgia, and today I'm going to talk about my first impressions of the city so far. In this video, I'll cover my initial thoughts after 2 weeks here, including talking about the ease of getting around, the neighborhood that I stayed in, a tour of my lodging, and the average cost of living. I'll also provide you with some information on what there is to do, and I'll go over some of the common concerns that you might have if you're traveling to an area for the first time. So if you're planning on visiting, retiring, or living here full time, hopefully this video will give you some information that will help you plan your trip. This is the first in a 3-part video about slow travel in the city of Tbilisi. You may have already seen some of my other videos about my time in Georgia, and if you haven't, you can see them here. But I moved through those cities a little bit faster, and I'm in Tbilisi for a whole month, and so I'm looking forward to getting to know the city a lot more. In future videos, I'll talk a little bit more about things there are to do in Tbilisi, and the surrounding areas, as well as things that you should try, restaurants you should try. And in the end, I'll go over all the costs that I incurred in my 1-month stay. And I'll talk a little bit more about whether or not I see myself staying in Tbilisi for a longer time. I like to kind of evaluate a city for a month because I do feel like if you stay in a place for a little bit longer, you get to know it a little better. Sometimes your first impression, like the first couple of days, is a little overwhelming. You don't know the language, you don't know the culture, you don't know the customs, you don't know where the grocery store is. That all takes a little bit of getting used to at the very beginning. But after a couple of weeks, you feel a little bit more settled in. And then after a month, you've gotten a chance to go to the main tourist things and then also get to dive a little bit deeper into what quote unquote everyday life is like in the city. So my videos will go over that as they progress. The first thing I always am wondering about is, how do I get there? So to get to Tbilisi, you can do several different options. The first one is you can fly. If you fly, you can take a bus from the airport. It takes about a little over an hour, about an hour and 15 minutes. If you're staying in the center, the bus takes about an hour. If you're staying anywhere out of the center, it will obviously take a little bit longer. There's only one bus. It runs about every 15 to 20 minutes. And just be aware that sometimes the buses in Georgia are a little bit late sometimes. So don't be stressed out if the time that it says on your Google app or whatever you're using is a little bit off. You can use your phone to tap to pay, or you can use your credit card to tap to pay. To get from the airport, you can also use a rideshare app. There are a couple of rideshare apps which, if you're coming to Georgia, I would suggest that you download if you don't have them already. One of them is Bolt. The other one is Yandex. For Bolt, you can get from the airport for the equivalent of about $10. I didn't check Yandex, but I'm assuming it's pretty much comparable. You can actually also take a train. So Georgia does have a train, and you can take the train from some of the cities, the bigger cities like Batumi or Kutaisi, or some of the other Zugdidi cities in the west side of the country. If you arrive by train, you'll be on the east side of the river. So if you look at the map of Tbilisi, I can put it up on the screen right now. The main area is kind of the old town area where the sulfur baths are and the old town is. And then also there's a main square called Liberty Square. So essentially, if you come to Tbilisi, you'll most likely be staying somewhere in that neighborhood or that area. Unless you're staying a longer time, in which case you might stay a little farther out like I did, but I'll cover that in a minute. The good thing about the train station is that it is right next to the metro station, which is called Station Square. So if you take the train into town, you can just get on the metro and come right into town using the metro. The metro also is 1.5 lari, or whatever the cost is, about 60 cents US. And it is very easy. And if you're staying down in the Old Town area or Liberty Square, the metro goes right to Liberty Square. Or again, if you want to take a Bolt or Yandex, they're super cheap, and you can probably get a Bolt for about $2.50 or something like that to get from the train station to the center. The other way you can get into town, which is the way that I came, is the local transport, which is called a marshrutka. The marshrutka is a little minivan. Usually it holds anywhere from like 6 to 12 people. And it depends on where you're coming from, but it comes into one of 2 bus stations. The one that I came into, because I was coming from the west / northwest, is called the Dube station. It's a few kilometers from where I'm staying, and then it's even more than that from the center of town. However, there is also a metro station near that bus station, or you can take a Bolt, and again, it's probably about $2.50. Like I said, one of the rideshare apps is called Yandex. This app also has food delivery, and on top of that, it has a transportation option. So you can change it from rideshare to walking or transportation. And on the transportation section, you can kind of see when the buses are coming. So that's very nice. Google Maps won't really update it if it's late. It just will tell you that you have to get on the one that's coming like 20 or 30 minutes from now. But what it doesn't know is that the one you're getting on is late. It's a little bit more accurate on Yandex. As far as I know, you do need data to be able to use Yandex. I use the eSIM Airlo. I have a link in the description. I found it to be pretty good in Georgia, not like the best service. It's a lot better in some of the other countries. So, you know, that's just kind of hit and miss, but you definitely need to have a little bit of data if you're gonna be here. So I stayed in a neighborhood called the Vera neighborhood. I chose this neighborhood because it's not right in the middle of the touristy area. I like being able to go to the touristy area, but not be right in the touristy area. And so it is about 2.5 miles if you walk to the main Old Town, downtown area. But it's very close to a metro station, so I can take the metro. It takes me about 20 minutes to get downtown. I can take a bus. That's also about 20 minutes to get downtown. Or like I said, 2.5 mile walk, which isn't that bad when I'm trying to get my 10,000 steps in. I just walk downtown, I walk back, I got my 10,000 steps, no big deal. I got it off Airbnb and it costs $670 for the month. I'm gonna show you a tour of it right now. Welcome to Tbilisi. It is hot. And I like schlepped here with my backpack and everything, but I figure I might as well do the tour while I can. So here we go. Got a little radiator, don't think I'll need that. The phone to let people in. Nice entryway. Oh, we got a shoe cupboard. So in Georgia, you take off your shoes. Yep, perfect. And it's nice they actually have a little shoe horn here too. All right, a nice closet, I think, maybe. I don't know what that is. Nice kitchen. It's great. She's got everything basically. I mean, coffee and sugar and anything you might need, including a washing machine. Oh, I'm gonna totally use this pretty much as soon as I stop this video. Isn't this cool how it all kind of matches? You don't even know it's all there. Anyway, I like it. It looks kind of old-fashioned. And I gotta go grocery shopping, obviously. Look at these radiators, aren't they the cutest? Oh, one funny thing about Georgia is the light switches are all very low. I don't know why. Look at this. I mean, very, very low. I don't know what the deal is. All right, nice looking comfy couch. TV, very cute. And I have a balcony, look at this. Got a table. All right, last but not least, the bedroom. There it is. Bedroom, which also has a door to the balcony. Cool. Look at that. That's a whole door that has the tilting feature. Oh, I love this. Love it. All right. Oh, now it's all dark. Sorry. Okay, bedroom. Oh, got an outlet by the bed, and I love this. Love it. Being able to turn. Sometimes that's for the main light, which is even nicer. Oh, see, you take off your shoes, you put your little slippers on, and nice closet. Okay, all right. We are ready to get settled. We're out of the bathroom. Uh-oh. There we go. Look at this, I got a tub. Oh, nice. Nice. Oh, look at this. This is super cute. It's a lady, and this is her sister's place. And, oh, see, look at this. Isn't that cute? Very cute. Hairdryer, extra toilet paper. Nice. Oh, and bum gun. Yes. Love a bum gun. Well, on that note, peace out. Okay, now that we've taken the tour, I just want to say that the listing for this place didn't do it justice. It's very beige in the pictures, and I didn't really care, but it's actually really bright and light and airy, which doesn't really show very well in the pictures. It's a really nice place. I'm enjoying it so far, and I would recommend it at this point. The neighborhood, let me talk about the neighborhood. The neighborhood around me is super great. It's close to a college, and so it's got a nice vibe. It's got lots of little shops, got lots of things to do, coffee shops, restaurants, shops, shoe shops, and a metro station. So it's a nice neighborhood. Also, I have probably 4 different locations for grocery stores near me. So let's talk about walking. I know I already covered a lot of this, but like I said, walking around town is hit and miss. So if you go to a lot of the main neighborhoods, Vake is one of them, or the downtown one, or the Old Town one. In Old Town, you're going to get a little bit more small sidewalks and cobblestones and things like that. But in a lot of the main large avenues, you're going to have a pretty nice sized sidewalk. It's going to be pretty smooth. It's going to be pretty nice. However, if you're trying to cross the street, you might have an issue. It's kind of like if you've ever driven in Florida, you're on a turnstile kind of thing, and you miss your exit, and then you have to go 10 miles before you can turn around. That's kind of how it is when you're walking in Tbilisi. If you miss, sometimes they have underground stairways that go under so you can go across. If you miss that, you think, oh, I'll just catch the next one. And then you walk and you walk and you walk and you walk. And it's shoot, I should have crossed under there. But now I have to jaywalk and I have to go across 4 or 5, 6 lanes of traffic. And yeah, it's a little bit of a crapshoot sometimes as far as whether the sidewalks are going to be good or whether they're going to be existing or whether the drivers are going to stop or whether you're going to be able to cross the street. The other thing, which I forgot to mention, is that you'll often be walking on the sidewalk and you'll be passed by a motorcycle a lot. So it's not just once in a while. So if you're walking, you're going to be on the sidewalk with motorcycles sometimes. So this brings me to accessibility, because this may be a little bit of an issue. There are a lot of underground passageways that you have to use to go across the street. So there are a lot of stairs, and there are also a lot of sidewalks that either the pavers, they're not cemented in, and so they are uneven a little bit, and sometimes the sidewalks are small and sometimes they're non-existent, and there are a lot of hills. And so it may be a bit of a challenge, especially if you're not in one of the main nice tourist areas. So let's talk about running. This is pretty much the same thing as walking. However, there are a lot of green spaces and good places to run. You just need to get to them. So you can take the bus. There's a few parks that are really nice. There's a lot of places where you could go trail running. There's a ton of hills. There's lots of lakes you can run around. You just have to get to them. So if you can take the bus to the park and then not have to deal with as many road crossings, it can make it easier. However, I think this is something that I'm just kind of getting used to. So the first day I was here, I had to go under one of the underpasses, and I didn't know that, and so I passed it. And then I couldn't figure out how do I get across this street? Well, it turns out I just missed the place I should have used. Now I know where those places are. It makes it a little more comfortable, but that is something that was a little bit frustrating at first. But there's tons of trail running and hiking opportunities. And I guess this segues right into biking, because it's kind of the same. The bike lanes are hit and miss, but there are mountain biking or trail biking opportunities if you're in the area. Getting money out, there are tons of ATMs, and also there's lots of money exchanges. So I talked about in one of my recent videos, which I can put up here, about first coming into the country of Georgia, and there's lots of money exchanges. It's a very fair rate, actually, and you see the rate of the buy and the sell, and the spread isn't actually that big, so I've found that they're pretty fair. However, most places in Tbilisi take cards, so you don't really need to worry about having too much cash. The only thing you might need cash for, if you're going to buy something at a bakery, like a khachapuri or some sort of street food kind of thing, you might want some cash for that. And then the other thing is the marshrutkas. So if you're going out of Tbilisi and going into more rural areas, you're going to need cash for that. And if you're staying in any more rural areas, pretty much everywhere I stayed, lodging-wise, had cash only. So you're going to need cash if you're going out of the city. Let's talk about safety. Tbilisi has a crime index of 25, which is very low, and a safety index of 74, which is very high. So it's a lot safer than a lot of the cities in Europe, or definitely in the United States. People in Georgia stay up very late at night, and so there is no problem really walking around later at night, even as a female by yourself. As far as being a female alone, also, let's talk about the solo vibe. So I've eaten lunch and dinner by myself. I don't feel weird at all. It's not the kind of place where you feel like everyone else is in a group and you're the only one by yourself. And safety, not a problem. And also community here is very good. So the expat group has a really robust group on Facebook. There are also WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups and things like that. They're very quick to answer questions if you have any questions and have been very helpful in the long run. And also for the locals, a lot of the younger locals speak very good English, and so it should be no problem meeting people that are from the area as well. The other way that you can meet people is a co-working space. This was suggested to me, and the one that was suggested to me is called Sativ Space, and I'll put the link for that in the description. I looked into it. It seemed like a great deal, but I'm going to be out of town for several multi-day stints going to other places, and so in the end it didn't seem like something that was actually worth it to me. But this is something I really would be interested in hearing from you. Have you tried a co-working space in any city, and what was your feeling as far as, was it worth it? Did you find it a good way to meet people? And one of the things that kind of turned me off, I looked into this in a different city, and it seemed like really it was more of a party vibe, and I'm not really into a party vibe. I would like to meet people, but I don't really just want to go out and do pub crawls every night. So maybe I'm completely off base as far as what it's all about. So tell me, where did you do this and what did you think? And is there a way to do more intellectual things rather than just having more of a party vibe? As far as speaking English, there are a lot of people in Tbilisi that speak English, whether you're in the touristy area, which of course is more common, or even in some of the non-touristy areas. It's pretty common for people to know a few words. Some of the older generation do only speak Russian and Georgian, so you may need to use more hand gestures with the older generation, but a lot of the younger people do speak English. As far as weather goes, I'm here in June. The weather's been great. It's been basically in the 70s most days. Sometimes it's a little hotter, or a couple days it's rained, but basically it's been very, very nice weather. As far as medical care goes, the medical care here is plentiful and good. And I went to the dentist and it wasn't too expensive. It was about $60 US for a cleaning. The staff all spoke English. It was very easy and painless. For food and water safety, the food is perfectly safe. The water from the tap is drinkable, so you can drink straight from the tap. And also in some of the smaller mountain towns, you may even find a fountain in the middle of town that you can drink from as well. For U.S. embassies, there is a U.S. embassy in Tbilisi, and I've actually been to it, but that's a story for another day. There are also embassies for several other European countries, as well as the UK and Canada. There are so many things to do in this area. In Tbilisi itself, there are plenty of churches, there are a lot of green spaces, like I said, there's hiking and biking, walking. There are expat groups, you can do trivia, you can do meetup groups and things like that. And then also further afield, there are tons of different day trips. You can go to the wine region, you can go to a lot of churches or monasteries, you can go to the mountains, and plenty of things to do outside of town as well. So let's talk about my favorite thing, what do things cost? I'm going to start with the grocery haul first, and then I'll come back and I'll talk a little bit more about excursions and dining out and other things like that. Firstly, let's start with the most fun part, wine. This was 8.95 lari, which equals about $3.25. For milk, it's 900 milliliters, which is a little different than I'm used to, but for this container, it was 4.2 lari, which comes out to about $1.52. This is kefir. It also is not a liter. It is 930 milliliters. This was 5.55 lari, and that equals about $2.01, or $2.16 for a liter. This butter, which is 200 grams, was 7.99 lari, or $2.90. That's going to be $6.59 a pound. So this is yogurt, even though if you translate it, it says sour cream. I've eaten it. It tastes a lot more like yogurt to me than sour cream. So either I'm really loving the Georgian sour cream or it's just mistranslated. Anyway, this one is 2.20 lari, or about 80 cents. This rice was 2.69 lari, which is about 98 cents, and it is a kilo of rice, so that would be about 44 cents a pound. So the potatoes here, I have almost a kilo, and it was 2.47 lari, or about 89 cents, which is about 43 cents a pound. These are eggs. There are only 10 of them though. It's not a dozen eggs. And this was 4.79 lari, which is about $1.74. But if you make that a dozen, it would be $2.09 a dozen. This is about half a kilo, so roughly a pound of tomatoes, and it was 2.43 lari, which is 88 cents, or roughly 81 cents a pound. Here are the cucumbers, but these cost 0.82 lari, which is basically 22 cents. So it comes to about 42 cents a pound. Got an important thing here, toilet paper. This was about 4 lari, which is $1.45. The next thing is fresh bread. I mean, it's still even a little bit warm. This is a little bit of a big loaf for me, but I figured it only cost about $1. So it was 2.99 lari, which is $1.09 US. The next thing is sugar. This was 2.59 lari. This is a 1 kilo, and that is about 94 cents, which comes out to about 44 cents a pound. These are pelmeni, actually. So the Georgian dumplings are called khinkali. This is pelmeni, which I believe is Russian. Anyway, this is a 800-gram package, frozen, and it was 8 lari, which is about $2.91, or roughly $4.53 a pound. The next thing I got, I thought I might play around with making some bread. So I got 1 kilo of flour. And that was 2.5 lari, which is about 91 cents, which is 41 cents a pound. Obviously, I had to also get yeast. This was 1.8 lari, which is 65 cents for 3 packets. This is oatmeal, and this is a 400-gram packet. And it was 2 lari, which is about 72 cents, or roughly 81 cents a pound. I also got for the bread, I got some cherry jam. And this is a 360-gram container. And it was 5 lari, about $1.82, or $2.29 a pound. And last but not least for this haul, this is a piece of Georgian cheese. And I honestly don't even know what it's like yet because I haven't opened it. But anyway, this is a 650-gram cheese, and it was 8 lari, which is about $2.91, or roughly $2.03 a pound. These carrots cost 2.03 lari, which is about 74 cents, or 40 cents a pound. These beets cost 1.62 lari, which comes out to about 59 cents, or about 35 cents a pound. Okay, so let's talk about tours. So you can get a really nice day tour for roughly anywhere from like $15 to $30. And this might not include lunch. So you might have to pay for lunch separately, but this will run about $10 to $15 usually. And you won't probably get picked up from your hotel. You may have to get to the start point on your own, but a lot of the start points are down near the Old Town area. So if you're staying in that area anyway, you're probably gonna be walking distance from the area where you would start in. The other thing that's very popular to do in Tbilisi is to go to the sulfur baths. This will cost you around 150 to 200 lari, which is basically 55 to 75 US dollars for a private room per person. You can also use the public bath, and this I think is only about 20 lari, which is maybe about $8 instead, but you will be in a bath with a lot of other people. So let's talk about dining out. And again, just like I usually do, I'm gonna give you more of the lower end prices. If you want to upscale it, obviously you can, but these are gonna be good meals for this price. It's not gonna be like you're giving up on anything. It's just gonna be the baseline lower price. So for a normal cup of coffee for like a flat white, you're gonna pay about $4. For a beer, if it's local, you might pay like $3. If it's not local, you might pay $4.25, $4.50. For a glass of wine, you'll pay about $3 to $5. For a normal lunch out, let's say you're not gonna have any booze, this is gonna run you about $7 to $12. For bread at the bakery, which I do suggest you try, just go get a piece of bread at the bakery, a loaf of bread at the bakery. This is gonna be 2 to 3 lari, which is about $1. And if you get a khachapuri at the bakery, this is gonna cost you maybe 4 or 5 lari, which is $1.50 or $2. And if you buy a khachapuri at a restaurant, you're gonna probably pay like 15 or 17 lari, maybe even 20 lari. So it's gonna be more like $5 or $6 or $7. If you buy dinner out and you also get, let's say, 2 glasses of wine, you're gonna pay $20 to $30 per person. So now I've covered a lot of things about Tbilisi and the surrounding area, so I'm curious to hear from you. Have you ever been to Tbilisi? If so, what was your favorite part? And if there's something that you would suggest that other people do if they come here, what would you say that is? And if you're interested in learning more about some of the other places that I visited in Georgia, you can find my videos here. Or if you're interested in learning more about Tbilisi, my next few videos are going to go over things to do and eat. And in the end, I'll talk about how much I spent during my whole time that I stayed in Tbilisi. If you're interested in this kind of content, you should subscribe so that you don't miss it. Once again, thank you very much for watching and happy travels. So if I look different, it's because my battery died and then I recorded the whole next section. So if I look different, it's because my neighbors are doing construction. So if I look different, it's because my battery died and then I recorded the whole next section and the audio didn't work. So I am now recording this for the second/third time, I guess. But where I was talking about safety. So this is why I need a glass of wine. Better. So I put a new battery in the camera and then my SD card got full. So I think I need another bottle of wine. It's one of those days. So let's talk about safety.